Hi, I'm Dr. Neil Cox from the University of Reading, talking to you on a very rainy day. So I'm going to raise my voice so hopefully you can hear it over the wonderful commotion outside. Okay. I'm going to talk to you very, very quickly about dissertations. Basically, some things to think about when you're preparing for an extended piece of written work. In terms of what you're going to choose to write on, my first tip would be, don't be a fan. Yeah, it's a good thing to write on something you love, but we love things in different ways, and there are certain things, certain pieces of art, certain pieces of literature, which fascinate us in such a way that we can't quite get a critical take on them. What we don't want from a dissertation is just a great kind of gushing piece of prose about how wonderful something is. You need to be able to analyse, and over the course of studying on the dissertation and over the course of engaging in a sustained analytic project, you quite often change your mind about things, and you find that you're questioning things you always took for granted. And if what you're studying is something that you hold dear in such a way that you don't really want to challenge your own ideas about it, then it's probably not the thing to do. But my second piece of advice is make sure you do something that you really like or love, or really something that engages you. Sometimes students come to me and say, what should I be studying? And there is a sense that certain areas of literature might be more worthy than others. It's really not the case. If something really gets you excited, then that's probably the thing to do, because the dissertation is a long piece of work and you need to sustain your enthusiasm. And doing something because you think you ought to do it probably isn't going to help you get that energy that you need to see it through. At Reading in particular, in the Department of English Literature at Reading, we're blessed with numerous special collections. We've got fantastic archives. It means that our students have the opportunity to do genuinely original archival research. Now, just because you're doing it doesn't guarantee a great mark, and it's not for everyone, and not all subjects lend themselves to this kind of work in exactly the same way because of the nature of the archives we have. But especially if you're doing stuff on African writers, if you're doing stuff on Beckett, if you're doing stuff on children's literature, if you're doing stuff on the rural, if you're doing stuff on popular literature, if you're doing stuff on book illustration or the history of the book, if you're doing stuff on publishing history, all of these things and many more can really benefit from a focus on our outstanding collections. So make sure, if you are doing the dissertation with us, that you talk to us about these, and make sure if special collections are right or not for you. My other big tip, especially if you're just starting a dissertation, is to enjoy it. In all, the dissertation is 10,000 words, with 8,000 words of that one long piece of writing. That can seem really daunting. How am I ever going to do that? Well, it's daunting because you haven't done it yet. Because the dissertation is actually the end part of almost a year-long process. And that space, that year, gives you a chance to really experiment, go deeper, enjoy. One of the things you could be doing over the summer, if you're preparing for a dissertation, if you have got internet access, is to, for example, look at criticism on just a JSTOR. Research some of that. It seems relevant to your area. Read it. Read more. Start to think about maybe contradictions in the critical response to your work. Get a piece of text and slow down. And just take your time, maybe 10 lines, to read them in detail. Maybe think about point of view, perspective. What does the narration know? What doesn't it know? What are the oppositions that might be in play? Do they stay as oppositions? Or do they start to shift their positions? What could you say about this piece of writing that might be interesting or different? Or even, what can you say about this that might seem just straightforward? Spending time with your text, getting to really know it, getting to really know what you can and can't do with it, is something that's really going to help you. And this doesn't have to be to a purpose. It's laying the groundwork for building up a complex engagement with the work. If in your research, if in your reading, you find yourself going off at what seems to be a complete tangent, if you start with mirrors in a sensation novel and you find yourself researching contemporary American politics or something, yeah, go with it. That's fantastic. Maybe this is an alley that leads nowhere. Who knows? Maybe it's the alley that's going to lead to a whole new world that other critics, other professional critics, haven't actually had the insight to ever see. Experiment. Enjoy. Slow down.